Okay, let's go over some of the band updates that we've been working on, and I'm going to be putting up an updated file in our Quantower downloads room, and I'm going to send it out to the initial Quantower group here today. I've been watching it enough, and the main functionality we've added all seems to be working properly. I think we're going to go in and tidy up the dots uh, logic a bit to make sure it fires off in as many locations as possible that meet the criteria. Now that we've made a lot of changes to the bands and given a lot more flexibility on smoothing and related, and remember these are non-recalculating, no repaint bands. So let's go in real quick and take a look at, let's go take a quick look at the overall new options available. And it's a lot of stuff we've added to the bands. So now in the bands, in the settings, let me pull up the settings here real quick. So right now we have for the main bands, that's the main bands, that's the dynamic range of price where we frame up the ongoing dynamic range of price. We have an ATR with functionality or standard deviation type functionality. So if I have it set to ATR, then I can go down here and I can set the ATR period and the width of the bands. If I set this to deviation, like we had it originally, then I would go in under the deviation setting and set the width of the band, in this case 2.9 deviations width from the mean. So that's how far is the lower and the upper main band from the midband. Now we've added smoothing, endpoint smoothing, to the main bands and the fast bands. So I can go in now and pick several smoothing options, a unique version of Aaron's, smooth or T3. T3 is like really simple, nothing too special there. This isn't a standard type of T3. It's actually slightly different. But anyhow, you can now set the smoothing and then the period for that smoothing. So if you want to do very, very, very light additional smoothing, you go like a 2 or a 3. You want to do heavier smoothing, you set it up. And what that does, that affects the output, each new little line segment that prints for the main bands. Let me move that out of your way. So that smoothing is the main band smoothing. So you can take the standard plot and now smooth it a bit. And it's still no repainting, still, non-recalculating. So the same thing then for the fast bands. You can set it for as a deviation or ATR for the width, setting your width. And we have the deviation setting if you use that. And the amount of deviation, like in this case, 2.8 deviations from the mean, meaning the center point of the fast bands. And the fast bands are the red and green ones. Or you can go in here and set those to ATR, and then you have a ATR, a period, and a width. So lots of functionality here. And then you set the responsiveness rate of the fast bands, and you can pick smoothing. So you can use different types of smoothing. And you can set how much is the smoothing. So if you use like a 2 or a 3, that's like the most minimal. If you put a 1, you're not really doing any smoothing. You need to put like a 2 or 3. So what we've given you now, we've given you the ability on the fast bands to add some endpoint right at the very end, some last smoothing to the overall plot of the bands. And we allow you to do that now in the main bands and the fast bands. So there's a wide range of combinations now in how you can use the overall bands and make them as smooth as you want or as raw as you want, meaning just standard plots with no smoothing. Now that we have all that work done, we'll take our dots logic, and I found some, or I have some ideas on how I'm going to add a few more items of code to the dots logic to ensure that we're getting the trend following dots in the exact, high probability places we want. Like, in a running uptrend, we want trend following dots for upside trade action. When we're in downtrends, here's some red dots. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have the dots set so that they're always below the lower band in uptrends. So they're basically below the lower fast band in uptrends and above the fast band, the upper fast band in downtrends. That way you can see them and differentiate them from the band itself. You can go in and set the color. All that stuff is all adjustable in the overall setting. So you can go in here and we can set which, I want to see the arrows. I want to see the stripes, meaning the vertical lines. I want to see the dots. You can set sound alerts for all of them and so on. Then you can go in and you can say what you want to have visible, not visible, and then the color of items. So the color of your bands, upper and lower for the fast, color the bands, upper, lower, middle for the main bands. And then, here's the dots down at the bottom, for instance. What color do you want them, what size, and so on. So we've added everything that I ever wanted to do to the bands. The last thing I will say is I'm going to work with the logic to get the dots so we can see them better. So on occasion they plot just below the fast band. That's easy to fix. We're just going to say, hey, if we have a bearish dot, meaning we have a dot where the market's kicked back against a downtrend and then the market's rolling over, we don't want the dot done up against price. We'll tell basically we'll link the dot to the upper band and set it X amount of pixels or a specific distance. So every time we get a dot, it'll always be right above the upper part of the fast band for the bearish dots, a fixed amount of distance, and it'll be that way all the time. And then an uptrend, same thing. When we get a trend following upward dot, it'll be just below the fast band, and it'll be a fixed amount of distance that never changes. So yeah, we got all that key work done, and I was watching it today to make sure we had full functionality, which we did. And I hit some really nice shorts today, and then I hit one really powerful. There was one really big bounce today. Where was that? I hit a long that just shot up right after I got into the trade. Where was that? I think it would. Yeah, it must have been right in here. Anyhow, there was a long trade that I hit at some point today, and that thing just jumped right up. Ah, that's it. Yeah, there it was. Yeah, that was the earlier part of the day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it just took off right away out of the. We had the mean reversion event where we had price and the fast bands go outside of the main bands. And sorry, I have so much lines on the chart because I'm working just a little bit of trade action here out of the markets reopen, just working the short side a little bit. We've been bleeding off a lot in the evening, so what the heck. But yeah, when we had the fast bands go outside the main bands and we lifted out of there real fast, that was a really good trade. And then we did have a trend following dot. And what, as I was saying, is I want these dots, and I'll tell the programmer tonight, I'll work with them. We'll get this dot so it's always below the bottom of the fast band. So right where the hook takes place in the fast band, for long we'll have the dot just below it, not buried on top of price. And here's some trend following to the short side dots here, here. We'll have those always above the band. That's not hard to adjust. Here's some long dots, trend following the long side. Another one, another one, another one. So yeah, we'll get that honed out. But yeah, now the core work though on the bands, getting those items added is now complete. And I'm very, very pleased with how the programmer and that endpoint smoothing was not easy to get done. So that's not easy to take the way that these no repaint bands work to then go at the end of all the calculation and say, oh, by the way, do this little bit of smoothing right at the end is not easy to integrate, but the programmer did a brilliant job. So hats off to the programmer. And now I'm really licking my chops to get my hands on Algo Studio Pro to connect here to all the outputs that we have on the bands to do some fully automated trading on Quantower, where I'm taking the bands indicator and certain setups that I like on the most optimal time frame and settings per the data I get from Algo Studio Pro, and go in and move my Algo Studio Pro trading from right now, which is a bit semi-automated, to fully automated. Or you can just, you can watch this stuff and just trade it manual too. You don't have to trade it automated. And the nice thing, you can use, tick bars, range bars, volume bars, time-based charts, Renko. And don't forget that Quantower gives you fully adjustable Renko with all different styles, and you can change the offset of the Renko. So you can go in and build with the Quantower provided Renko candle. You can make symmetrical Renkos, you can make median Renkos, standard Renkos. You can say, yes, I want the wick, no, I don't, and so on and so on. Full functionality of Renko within the Quantower platform, so you can customize and make about any style of Renko that is typically out there on other trade platforms, usually as custom bar types. So that was some massive progress. I'm putting it out to the group today. If you have any questions on access, I'm leaving through the rest of this week. And then I'm turning it off, the one-time buy special offer. That'll give you access for 6 months. Otherwise, as soon as I turn that off, we're moving to a quarterly subscription plan access only for the Quantower tools. So there you have it. Yeah, it turned out really good, and I was watching it all day today, very pleased with how it turned out, and really looking forward to getting this linked up with Algo Studio Pro and taking advantage of the best version of bands that I've ever put on a retail platform and connecting it with a fully customizable automated strategy application like Algo Studio Pro, which currently runs in NinjaTrader 8, and they're adding it over to Quantower. It's going to be a fantastic combination. So that way I can take these cross signals and work trades around those. I can use the trend following dot signals as trades. And if a person wanted to use the triangles to initiate trades, any of the three outputs, the main outputs, and we also provide band positioning outputs for both the main and fast bands at every bar close. So there's a lot of outputs as a part of our trading tools. And just wanted to point out that we do have Quantower rooms available where we have training, downloads, optimization, and a main room. So we're slowly but surely building up the Quantower program within our Discord room. So if you have any questions, go to info@gridalgo.com. And yeah, we got the dual bands at a very advanced capability now for the Quantower platform. And now I'm going to add that to the NT8 tools for our current group.